Hi, thank you so much for joining me today on Amazing Sharks. I know you guys, I have been really slow with getting these videos, but like I said, I'm going through a lot of stuff right now, so I'm trying to get these videos done as quickly as possible. Um, we probably are going to cut down to once every 2 weeks for now, until my stuff gets situated. My fiance has to have surgery with my mom having the platinum-resistant ovarian cancer and, possibly dying within the next year. I'm just trying to spend time with family right now. So, anyways, this is the Oceanic Whitetip Shark. So, I hope you guys are going to enjoy this video. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in to Amazing Sharks. All right, you guys. So, oceanic whitetips. These are large pelagic requiem sharks inhabiting tropical warm temperate seas. They have a stocky bill with long white tip rounded fins. The species is typically solitary, though they may gather in large numbers at food concentrations. Bony fishes and cephalopods are the main components of its diets, and females give live birth. Though they are slow moving, it's an opportunistic and aggressive and is reputed to be dangerous to shipwreck survivors. Now, this is a bit of a it's a bit of a question mark here onto whether or not the oceanic whitetip is responsible for different shipwreck survivor stories where they've been followed by schools of sharks and they've been attacked and seen people get eaten and things like that. But most people go along the line that these are indeed the sharks that are responsible for the most um, concentration of deaths when it comes to shipwrecks. These shipwrecks seem to attract them. They're known to follow vessels, life rafts, things like that, and they're very easily spotted due to the fact that they have that white tip on their fins. So it's generally pretty easy to see that it's a white tip shark following you around. And they do tend to congregate around large areas of food. So this kind of leads to the credibility of this philosophy that they are responsible for the majority of shipwreck survivors getting killed by sharks. Um, Recent studies show that they have steeply declining populations as they are harvested for their fins and meat. As with other shark species, the white tip faces mounting fishing pressure throughout its range. The IUCN Red List considers this species to be critically endangered. They're found worldwide between 45 degrees north and 46 degrees south latitude. They live in deep open oceans with a temperature greater than 64 degrees Fahrenheit. They prefer water temperatures above 68 degrees and up to 82 degrees, but they can be found in waters as cool as 59 degrees. They avoid temperatures lower than this. It was once extremely common and widely distributed and still inhabits a wide band around the globe. However, recent studies suggest that they have declined in number. They spend most of the time in the upper layer of the ocean of about 490 feet and prefer offshore deep ocean areas. So it's very rare you'll find them around um, actual land populations. According to longline capture data, increasing distance from land correlates to a greater population of the sharks. It's sometimes found close to land in waters as shallow as 120 feet deep, mainly around oceanic islands and narrow continental shelves. The most distinguishing characteristics are, of course, its long wing-like pectoral and dorsal fins. They are significantly larger than most other shark species and are conspicuously rounded. The shark's snout is rounded, but its eyes are circular with nictitating membranes. That just means that when they go to attack, they get that invisible eyelid that closes over their eyes to keep them safe from harm. They're robust, large bodied shark. The largest one ever caught was 13 foot in length, although they usually grow up to 10 foot and 330 pounds. However, the all-tackle record listed by the International Game Fish Association is 368 pounds for a 7.2-foot long individual, suggesting that white is likely much more in larger individuals. The female is typically larger than the male by about 3.9 inches. In the Gulf of Mexico in the 1950s, the mean weight of the oceanic whitetips was 190 pounds. In the 1990s, the sharks of the same species from the same area averaged only 124 pounds. Um, their gray bonds bronze dorsally and white ventrically. As the name suggests, most of its fins, dorsal, pectoral, pelvic, and caudal, have white tips. Along the white tips, the fins may be mottled, and young specimens can have black marks. A saddle-like patch may be apparent between the first and second dorsal fins. The shark has two kinds of teeth. Those in the mandible or the lower jaw are thinner with a serrated tip. Between 13 and 15 teeth are on either side of the jaw. The teeth in the upper jaw are triangular but much larger and wider with entirely serrated edges. 14 or 15 occur along each side. The denticles are nearly flat and white and typically have between 5 and 7 ridges. There is little overlap between them, revealing some skin. They're typically solitary, although they have been observed gathering in large groups. A lot of times when divers go down to feed them or to swim with them, you'll see five, six, maybe more. They swim during the day and night. They're usually solitary and slow moving, and they tend to cruise near the top of the water column in open water. During summer, when the water surface is warmer, they tend to swim more quickly and at deeper depths. They have been observed to reach out of the water. They mainly feed on pelagic cephalopods like squid and bony fish, such as lancet fish, oarfish, barracuda, jacks, mai, marlin, tuna, and mackerel. However, its diet can be far more varied and less selective. They're known to eat threadfins, stingrays, sea turtles, seabirds, gastropods, crustaceans, and marine mammal carcasses. Its feeding methods include swimming through schools of frenzied tuna with an open mouth, waiting for this fish to swim in before biting down. When whaling formerly took place in warm waters, oceanic whitetips were the most common scavengers of floating carcasses. Whitetips commonly compete for food with silky sharks, explaining its comparatively leisurely swimming style combined with aggressive displays. They are known to trail pilot whales since they both feed on squid. Pilotfish, dolphinfish, and remora may follow these sharks. Evidence in the form of sucker scars on the skin of an individual filmed off Hawaii indicate that the species may also dive deep enough to battle with giant squid. Until the 16th century, sharks were known to mariners as sea dogs, and the oceanic whitetip the most common ship-following shark. Groups often form when individuals converge on a food source. They are recorded to segregate both by sex and size. They commonly get into feeding frenzies. Oceanic whitetips gather in large numbers off Cat Island, Bahamas from winter to spring due to the abundance of large bony fish. Mating and birthing seems to occur in early summer in the Northwest Atlantic Ocean and Southwest Indian Ocean, although females captured in the Pacific have been found with embryos year-round, suggesting a longer mating season there. The shark is viviparous. The embryos develop in utero and are fed by a placental sac. Its gestation period lasts 9 months to 1 year. In the Northwest Atlantic, shark pups are born 65 to 75 centimeters or 26 to 30 inches long, while off South Africa, they're born 24 to 26 inches long. In the Pacific Ocean, newborns average 18 to 22 inches long and number 2 to 14 per litter. In one population off Brazil, sharks were recorded to grow an average of 9.9 inches in 1 year, reducing to 5.4 inches per year up to 4 years, and then 3.8 inches in their fifth year. Both sexes reach maturity at 71 to 75 inches between the ages of 6 and 7 and continued to grow at 3.58 inches per year. The average length of maturity for sharks averages in the greater equatorial and southwestern Atlantic is 67 inches for female and 67 to 75 inches for males. In the Pacific, the sharks appear to mature at 4 to 5 years. One oceanic whitetip shark was estimated to have lived 22 years. They have been described by Jacques Cousteau as the most dangerous of all sharks, and personally, I feel that they are indeed one of the most dangerous of all sharks, even more so than the well known sharks that attack people, like the hammerhead, the great white, the tiger shark, and the bull shark. The reason I believe that is again because they are opportunists and they are well known to be responsible for many of the well known shark attack survivor stories. Author and big game fisherman Ernest Hemingway depicted them as aggressive opportunists that attacked the catch of the fisherman and the old man in the sea, which is a book most people know. After the USS Indianapolis was torpedoed on July 30th, 1945, which we went into when we went into my shark attack video, some sailors who survived the sinking reportedly died from exposure to the elements, and some may have died from shark bites. According to survivor accounts, published in several books about sharks and shark attacks. Potentially hundreds of the Indianapolis crew were eventually killed by sharks before a plane spotted them on the fifth day after the sinking. Oceanic whitetips are believed to have been responsible for most, if not all, the attacks. Also, during World War II, the RMS Nova Scotia, a steamship carrying about 1,000 people near South Africa, was sunk by a German submarine. 192 people survived. Many deaths were attributed to the white tip. Subsequently, the species is recorded to have attacked 21 people between 1955 and 2020, including 9 divers, 8 swimmers, 2 fishermen, 1 shipwrecked person, and 1 fallen pilot. 5 of these attacks were fatal. In Egypt in 2010, one oceanic whitetip was implicated in several bites on tourists in the Red Sea near Sharm el Sheikh, resulting in 1 death and 4 injuries to humans. Accumulating evidence revealed this shark to have conditioned to being hand fed, which is a big thing for the oceanic whitetips because they are one of the most common sharks that are found that people film doing feeding frenzies. In October 2019, an oceanic white-tipped shark brutally attacked a female snorkeler off of Moorea, French Polynesia, but the person survived. Based on eyewitness reports and examinations of the bites, the shark appears to have been acting like a predator attacking prey. The oceanic whitetip has been kept in captivity among 5 recorded captive oceanic whitetips. The 3 with time records all lived for more than 1 year in captivity. One of these, a female in Monterey Bay's Aquarium Outer Bay exhibit, lived for more than 3 years before dying in 2003, during which it grew 1 foot. The 2 remaining lack a time record but grew about 1.6 foot during their time in captivity. As of 2019, this shark is listed as critically endangered in the IUCN Red List, as their numbers appear to have decreased in every ocean region they inhabit. While their total global population is unknown, they are estimated to have declined by around 98%, with the highest probability of 80% reduction over 3 generation length, or 61.2 years. In 1969, Lena Weaver and Backus wrote of the oceanic whitetip, "It is extraordinarily abundant, perhaps the most abundant large animal, large being over 100 pounds on the face of the earth." A study focusing on the Northwest Atlantic and Gulf of Mexico, using a mix of data from the U.S. pelagic longline surveys and from the mid 1950s and observations from the late 1990s, estimated a decline in numbers in this location of 99.3% over this period. However, changes in fishing practices and data collection methods complicate estimates. According to a January 2021 study in Nature, which studied 31 species of sharks and rays, the number of these species found in open oceans had dropped by 71% in about 50 years. The oceanic whitetip was included in that study. They are mainly threatened by fisheries, sometimes intentional, but usually bycatch. They are victims of long lines, hook lines, gill nets, and trawls. The sharks are used for their fins and meat. It is eaten fresh, smoked, dried, and salted, and its skin is made into leather. Bycatching of oceanic whitetip sharks may be reduced by removing hooks from long liners when they are in shallow water. Sharks may also be threatened by pollution. Those in the Northwest Atlantic have been found to accumulate high amounts of mercury. In March 2013, the oceanic whitetip was added to Appendix 2 of CITES, meaning the species, including parts and derivatives, require CITES permission for international trade. On January 30th, 2018, NOAA Fisheries published a final rule to list the oceanic whitetip shark as a threatened species under the United States Endangered Species Act. From January 3rd, 2013, the shark was fully protected in New Zealand territorial waters under the Wildlife Act 1953. The New Zealand Department of Conservation has classified the oceanic whitetip shark as a migrant, with the qualifier secure overseas under the New Zealand Threat Classification System. And this, you guys, is the oceanic whitetip shark. So if you want to learn more, if you want specific videos, specific ideas, like I said, I had gotten one comment that had asked about doing videos on extinct sharks. So I did a few videos on some extinct sharks. I will probably revisit that later with more shark species that are extinct. But you are more welcome to like, subscribe, share, comment, you guys. Every now and then my nieces and nephews join in on my videos. So, you might hear kids helping me out, giving information about sharks. I like to include my nieces and nephews in my love of sharks because I think it's very important that we love and we care about our sharks. So again, like, subscribe, comment. If there's anything you want to learn about, any specific species, any specific topic, anything that has to do with sharks, I will be more than happy to make you a video. I'll even give you a shout out on my video. I'm not ashamed of it. I love sharks. I will always love sharks. So again, thank you for tuning in. I will see you guys very soon. Again, I apologize for the delay in my videos. I will try to get back on track as soon as possible, but with everything going on right now, it is just really hard to keep up with these videos. So we're going to cut it down to, I will guarantee a video once every 2 weeks from now on. So enjoy. Have a great day. Tell me if you want to learn something else. And thank you so much for tuning in to Amazing Sharks.